Hello dears. In this session, we are going to discuss about the descriptive questions from chemical control. Let's see the first question. See, how is the movement of leaves of a sensitive plant different from the downward movements of a root? In this chapter, we have learnt two types of movements. Which are the two types of movements? Tropic movements and nastic movements. Okay, tropic movements and nastic movements. What is tropic movements? Tropic movements are growth related movement, right? Growth related. Tropic movements are growth related movement. And what about nastic movement? Independent. It is independent of growth. It is not related with the growth or nastic movements. So what is the question given here? How is the movement of leaves of a sensitive plant different from the downward movement of the root? Here, sensitive plant that respond to a stimulus is an example for nastic movement. That is not related with growth. That is coming under nastic movement. And what about the growth of root? That is an example for tropic movement. That means it is a growth dependent movement. So this is the difference between growth of root and the movement of leaf, sensitive leaf. Okay. Next question. There is a hormone which regulates carbohydrate, protein and fat metabolism. Listen the question. There is a hormone which regulates carbohydrate, protein and fat metabolism in our body. Name the hormone and the gland which secretes it. You have to name the hormone and the gland which secretes this hormone. So, 3 questions you have to answer. So, which hormone is necessary for the metabolism of protein, fat and carbohydrate? Which gland produces it? And also you have to write why is iodized salt is important in our diet. So, let's see the first question. What is that? There is a hormone which regulates carbohydrate, protein and fat. Which hormone? Which hormone helps in the metabolism of protein, fat and carbohydrate? We know that is thyroxine. That is thyroxine which helps in the metabolism of protein, fat and carbohydrate. And which gland secretes thyroxine? That is thyroid gland. Okay, thyroid gland secrete thyroxine. What is the third question here? See the third question. Why is it important for us to have iodized salt in our diet? So here is the descriptive answer for this. Let's see the answer. Here, see thyroid gland produces thyroxine. We know that thyroxine is tetraiodothyronine. That means for the synthesis of thyroxine, what is important? That is iodine. Iodine is very important. Iodine is necessary for the synthesis of thyroxine. So, if iodine is not intaken through our diet, if iodine is not getting through our diet, what will happen? In the deficiency of iodine causes thyroid gland to struggle. Thyroid gland will struggle to synthesize the hormone thyroxine. If thyroid gland struggle to synthesize the hormone thyroxine, it will swells up. The thyroid gland will swells up. And that leads to the disease called a goiter. Okay. When the thyroid gland swells up, that disease, when the thyroid gland swells, that disease is called a goiter. So we need to include iodine in our diet, or we need to include iodized salt in our diet. Now let's see the third question. Next question. In which region of the brain medulla and cerebrum located? State one function of each. See, in which region of the brain? In which region of the brain medulla and cerebrum located? First is medulla. Okay, medulla. Where is medulla located? In the hind brain. In which region? It is hind brain. Hind brain contains three parts. Which all are the three parts of hind brain? We learnt it. That is cerebellum, pons and medulla. These are the three parts of hind brain. Cerebellum, pons, medulla are the three parts of hind brain. So where medulla is located? In the hind brain. Next question, state one function of each. You have to state one function. See, for medulla, what function we write? Which control all the involuntary activities. Medulla controls all involuntary activities. For example, breathing, heartbeat, blood pressure. All these things are controlled by medulla. Next, what is the next one? Cerebrum. Okay, where the cerebrum is located? Cerebrum is located in the forebrain. Okay, forebrain. Cerebrum is located in the forebrain. Again, forebrain have three parts. Which all are the three parts included in the forebrain? That is cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. Which all are the three parts of cerebrum? Which all are the three parts of forebrain? Cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. So where cerebrum is located? In the forebrain region. Now you have to mention one function, right? You have to mention one function of cerebrum. Which function we will write? The what about cerebrum? Which function we will write? See, it is the center of. It is the center of thought, imagination, memory, etc. So thought, imagination, memory. Which is the center? Cerebrum is the center. So the question, in which region the brain is medulla and the cerebrum located? Medulla is located in the hind brain. We wrote here the function is, it is the center of involuntary activities like heartbeat, breathing, etc. And cerebrum is located in the forebrain. And what is the function? It is the center of thought, imagination, memory, like that activities. Now let's see the next question. See, name a hormone that promotes the growth of tendrils and explain how they help a pea plant to climb up other plants. This is like in every midterm exam and all previous year questions, you can see this is a repeated question. Name a hormone that promotes the growth of tendril. Which hormone promotes the growth of tendril? That is auxin. Auxin is the hormone. Auxin is the hormone which promotes the growth of tendrils. And explain how they help a pea plant to climb up other plants. Now you have to explain how this auxin help a pea plant to climb up other plants. See, I will explain this. When the tendril touches a support, when a tendril touches at support, what will happen, you know? If this portion touches the support, the auxin will concentrate. The auxin will move to the opposite part of tendril. If this part touches means the auxin will move to the opposite part of the tendril. Then what happens? Of auxin, we have learned that auxin helps in cell elongation. Auxin will help in cell elongation. So opposite part where there is no touch with the support, what happens means the cells will elongate. The cells will elongate in the opposite part. When the cells elongate in the opposite part, it just climb, the tendril will just climb and it will form like a curl and it climb on other plant. This is what happens when it touches a support. This is because of the presence of the hormone called auxin. Okay, so next question. Why are auxins synthesized? How do they promote phototropism? Where are the auxins synthesized? Next question. Where are the auxins synthesized? How do they promote phototropism? Okay, let's see. Where are the auxins synthesized? Where are the auxins synthesized in a plant? We know that the auxins are synthesized in the tips. Either in the shoot tip, okay, here in the shoot tip, in the shoot tips, in the root tips. Shoot apex, we can write here, shoot apex and root apex. So auxins are synthesized in the shoot apex and the root apex. Now, what is the question? How do they promote phototropism? Before, how do they promote phototropism? We should know what is phototropism, right? So, what is phototropism? What is phototropism? The movement of plant parts towards light is called a phototropism. Movement of plant parts towards light is called a phototropism. There are two types of phototropism. What are the two types of phototropism? There are positive phototropism. There are positive phototropism and negative phototropism. What is meant by positive phototropism? If it moves towards light, it is called a positive phototropism. If it grows away from the light, what is it called? A negative phototropism. So there are two types of phototropism, positive phototropism and negative phototropism. Anyhow, phototropism is the movement of plant parts in response to light. Okay, movement of plant parts in response to light. See here, how do they promote phototropism? How do auxins promote phototropism? I will explain this. See, when plant, suppose this is a plant and the light rays are coming from this direction. What happens means the auxins will move to the opposite side, that is the shaded side. The auxins will move to the shaded side. So, in the shaded side, what will happen? Due to the presence of auxin, the cell start elongating. The cell will start elongating. So, when the cells are elongating, when the cells are growing or elongating more in the opposite side, in the shaded side, obviously it will bend like this. The shoot will bend like this, right? Okay, this is what we call phototropism. So, what is the question? How do they promote phototropism? They promote phototropism by concentrating in the shaded part, and there the elongation of cells happens. Next question. Write the role of insulin in regulating blood sugar levels in human body. Mention the disease caused due to it. The first question, there are two questions in this. You can see two sub-questions are there. Write the role of insulin in regulating blood sugar levels in human body. Mention the disease caused due to it. And another question, how is the timing and the amount of release of insulin in the blood regulated? These are the two questions. First, let us answer the first one. See, write the role of insulin in regulating the blood sugar level. We know that insulin decreases, insulin decreases the blood sugar level. Insulin decreases the blood sugar level. How is it regulating? What is its role in regulating blood sugar? Insulin decreases the blood sugar level. Now, when you have to mention the disease caused due to it. Okay, when the blood sugar level is high and insulin is not secreting in the normal amount and the blood sugar level goes high, what will happen? That may leads to diabetes. Okay, that may leads to diabetes. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. When the sugar level in the body goes high and through urine it is released out. That condition is called diabetes mellitus. So you have to mention the disease diabetes and the amount of release of insulin in the blood regulated. How is the amount of hormone is regulated in our body? So you have to write the answer as feedback mechanism. What is the answer? Feedback mechanism. The answer key for this is feedback mechanism. And you have to explain what is feedback mechanism. What is feedback mechanism? See here. When our body, our blood sugar level increases, goes high sometimes when we take some diet or some kind of diet in which our blood sugar level goes high. Then what will happen? This will trigger the pancreatic gland. Which gland releases insulin? That is pancreatic gland. Pancreatic gland releases the hormone insulin. This will trigger the pancreatic gland to secrete insulin. Okay, insulin will be released. And when the insulin releases, it converts glucose to glycogen. It converts glucose to glycogen. That means it controls the blood sugar level. It decreases the blood sugar level. What is the function of insulin? It decreases the blood sugar level. So this mechanism is called a feedback mechanism. So understood what is feedback mechanism? See, how is the timing and the amount of release of insulin in the blood regulated by the process called a feedback mechanism. This is what we call feedback mechanism. With an example, they ask you to explain with the help of an example. You can write this example. Let's see the next question. Name the part of brain which is responsible for the following actions. First one, what is given? Maintaining posture and balance. That is cerebellum. Cerebellum, which is located in the hindbrain, which maintain posture and balance of our body. Second one, beating of heart. The hindbrain, we have medulla, which control all the involuntary functions like heartbeat, breathing, etc. So here we will write medulla. Okay. The third one is thinking. Which part helps in thinking? See, cerebrum, which is located in the forebrain region, is the center of thought, imagination, memory, etc. So we will write here cerebrum. Cerebrum is the third one. Fourth one is blood pressure. Blood pressure, again it is medulla. Medulla which control all the involuntary actions like heartbeat, blood pressure, breathing, etc. So these are the four parts which control all these four functions. Maintaining posture and balance is cerebellum. Beating of heart is medulla. Thinking is cerebrum. Blood pressure is again medulla. Let's see the next question. Since synthesized in a plant, which organ of the plant shows positive phototropism, negative geotropism, positive hydrotropism? See, we have learnt about tropic movements. What is meant by tropic movements? It's a growth dependent, or we can call it as a directional movement. Now, here what is given? Where are auxins synthesized? Auxins are synthesized in the shoot apex and also root apex. Apex at the tip of a plant. We can see the auxins in the tips of plants, root apex and shoot apex. And which organ of the plant shows? Which part of plant shows positive phototropism? We have already discussed what is phototropism. Positive phototropism. When the plant part which grows towards light, okay, towards light, what we call it as positive phototropism. We know which part of plant which shows positive phototropism, that is shoot. The shoot shows positive phototropism. So here the first answer, what we will write? The shoot, or we can call it as stem, which shows positive phototropism. Negative geotropism. Before that, we should know what is geotropism. When a plant grows in response to gravity, that is called geotropism. So there are two types of geotropism: positive geotropism and negative geotropism. When a plant part goes towards the gravity, it is positive geotropism. Like root grows towards the gravity, that is positive geotropism. And the stem grows away from the earth's gravity, opposite to earth gravity, that is negative geotropism. So here what is it asking? To write the negative geotropism. So which part is showing negative geotropism? Again, you have to write here the stem. The stem is going away from the earth's gravity, so it is negative geotropism. Third one is positive hydrotropism. So what is hydrotropism? Hydrotropism is growth of plant parts in response to water. In response to water, it is hydro. So in response to water, here you have two types. We can see two types of hydrotropism. Positive hydrotropism, when it moves towards water, that is positive hydrotropism. When it grows away from water, that is negative hydrotropism. Here, you see here, what is asking? Positive hydrotropism. Which part of the plant, which plant part move towards the water availability? That is root, right? Root. So what we will write here? Root. Root which shows positive hydrotropism. Positive hydrotropism. Let's see the next question. Write the name and function of parts 1 and 2 in the diagram of a neuron given below. We have learned the structure of neuron previously. Now you have to mention the part of 1 and 2. Here it is mentioned. What is 1 actually? This is dendrite, right? What is the part here? It is dendrites. Dendrite. Now, what is the function? What is the function of dendrite? Which receive, okay, which receive nerve impulse, which receive the nerve impulses, which receive the impulses. That is the function of dendrite. Now, the second part is given axon, right? The second part is given axon. What is the function of axon? The electrical impulses are carried through the long fiber called the axon. So, the electrical impulses are carried towards the synapse, where it transmits the impulse to the next neuron. So, these are the functions of part 1 and 2 that is labeled in the diagram. Let's see the next question. List 2 differences between leaves in a sensitive plant and the movement or shoot towards light. The same type of questions we have discussed previously. So it is like in different ways it's asking. It is the two differences. Here you have to mention the 2 differences. We know that there are 2 types of movements, that is tropic movements and nastic movements. We have discussed in the first question what is the difference between tropic movements and nastic movement. Tropic movement is growth dependent movement. So you can write first difference as this. First difference what we can write, tropic movement, or you can write here as a heading, you can write list 2 differences between the movement of leaf of a sensitive plant and the movement of shoot, right? So here you can write movement of shoot, and here you can write movement of sensitive plant. Movement of sensitive plant. The first one in movement of shoot is growth dependent. Okay, it is growth dependent movement. And what about movement of sensitive plant? It is growth independent. Okay, it is independent of growth independent movement. Second thing you can write, it is directional. It is a directional movement. And here you can write there is no direction. It is independent of direction. So these are the 2 difference. You can find the movement of a sensitive plant and movement of shoot towards light. Growth dependent movement. This is growth independent movement. This is directional movement, and it is not related with the direction. It is independent of direction. It is non-directional. It is non-directional movement. Now, next question. What happens at synapse between 2 neurons? State briefly. So here you have to mention briefly the nerve impulse transmission. What happens in the synapse? So let's draw a synapse here. Let's draw a synapse. Here we have dendron, dendrites, cell body, nucleus, cytoplasm, and this is axon, myelinated, okay, and the tip here, it is synaptic knob which contains synaptic vesicle, and inside the synaptic vesicle there are neurotransmitters, the chemical which transmits the impulses. It's called the chemicals are called neurotransmitters. Now, when you draw a synapse, obviously you have to draw another neuron here, right? There should be another neuron which is in connection with the first neuron. So you can see here there is no physical connection between neurons. Between two neurons there is no physical connection. There is a microscopic gap between adjacent neurons. There is a microscopic gap. What is this called? This gap is called a synapse. What is a synapse? The microscopic gap between adjacent neurons is called a synapse. You can see a synapse here. Now, what between two neurons you have to explain briefly. Now listen here. The electrical impulses, the impulses are generated here at the dendrite, and it is charges, electric charges. We call it as positive and negative. Electric impulses. It travels electric impulses that travels till synaptic knob. The impulse travels as electrical impulses. The electrical impulses travel through this axon, and finally when it reaches the synaptic knob, the synaptic vesicle will break and the chemical will release. The chemical that is present in the synaptic vesicle is released in this junction. What is that junction called? A synapse. Because of the presence of this neurotransmitters, that's why it is called a neurotransmitters. It can transmit the impulse. These chemicals can stimulate the next neuron. These chemicals can stimulate the next neuron, and the next neuron, the second neuron, we can call it a second neuron, gets stimulated by these chemicals, and again an electrical impulse here, an electrical impulse is generated here, and that electrical impulses will travel through this. Okay, now listen carefully. This is synapse, right? Synapse. Here in this, when you draw a synapse, obviously there will be two neurons. The neuron before the synapse, we can call it as presynaptic. What we can call it as presynaptic neuron. Because it is before the synapse, we call it as presynaptic neuron. And the neuron that is present after the synapse, we can call it as postsynaptic neuron. The neuron which is present after the synapse is called a postsynaptic neuron. So you can see the synapse in between presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. So from presynaptic neuron, the impulses are traveled as electrical impulses, and when it reaches the junction, the electrical impulses are converted to chemical impulses, and that stimulate the next neuron, and to the next neuron the stimuli that travel in these, the second neuron, we can call it as postsynaptic neuron, again as electrical impulses. Due to that stimuli, the impulses traveled in the postsynaptic neuron as electrical impulse, and this process will continue till it reaches a neuromuscular junction and activate a nerve muscle fiber, like we call it as effectors, or sometimes it is reaching the brain. Okay,